One of the most popular questions I get is, how do I invest in real estate from overseas? Today I'm going to tell you. I'm David Pere with From Military to Millionaire. And before we dig in, could you do me a solid and just click that little subscribe button to help us grow? Deployed real estate investing is not easy. Limited time and communication is enough to make anything more difficult, but especially building a business. Generally, my answer to this varies a little bit based on the experience of the investor, but here are my recommendations in general. Now, the first thing you need to do is work on your groundwork, and the first piece to that is investing in yourself. This is true no matter where you live, but the very first investment you make should always be in yourself. Now, let's assume that you are currently deployed or stationed overseas, like Korea, for example, and you have decided to get started in real estate. The very first thing that you need to do is educate yourself as much as humanly possible on the subject of real estate investing. You need to read or listen to tons of books. You should also listen to podcasts like the Military Millionaire podcast. Then I would suggest either a Google or YouTube search to answer any questions you have or concepts that you did not fully understand. There is nothing more important than having a thorough understanding of the ins and outs of real estate investing. If you can't answer what your why is, what strategy you want to use to get there, and what markets you want to invest in, then you need to continue educating yourself. Never stop learning, ever. Deployments and overseas duty stations are great for this because you have fewer distractions. If you find yourself stuck in Korea with crappy internet and not much to do on Liberty except hit the gym or bars, you should spend your time reading and learning instead. You should be doing this with your time before you do anything else for real estate. The next step you must always be taking is networking. They say your network equals your net worth. And I agree completely that getting around other high achievers will skyrocket your success. Networking will not be as easy if you're overseas, and especially if you're deployed, but you can at least lay the groundwork. You can join real estate Facebook groups, like the Military Millionaire Facebook group. And you can also join Facebook groups local to your target market. You can set up keywords on BiggerPockets to be notified when people post about your area. Then you can network with other investors and post about what you're learning when you have internet access. You need to consistently surround yourself with high achievers and goal-oriented service members. Maybe even look into starting a real estate investor meetup near your base. You would be surprised how many other service members share these interests and would be willing to meet up and mastermind about it. All you need to do is talk about what you're learning and doing, and people will just come out of the woodwork to talk to you about real estate, especially if you're passionate. The final piece to your groundwork is capital. Overseas duty stations often pay you an extra cost of living allowance. Deployments are a great time to save massive amounts of money. Depending on where you're deployed, you could even get hazardous duty pay, combat pay, tax-free pay, separation pay if you're married, per diem, etc. There is no reason not to save every penny of this additional income. You could most likely live on less than 10% of your paycheck while deployed and easily less than 25%. So I recommend that you maximize savings and bring home as much capital as humanly possible. Now that could mean that you put 25% of your paycheck into your TSP and 50% into a high interest savings account. It could also mean that you put only 10% into your TSP. I would recommend at least 10% and 65% into a high interest savings account or more. The more money you save, the more money you can invest, and the faster you can build wealth. Once you've laid the groundwork, it is time to start putting your money to work. There are many challenges connected with investing from afar. These challenges only compound when you add into the equation huge time zone gaps, communication restrictions, and the inability to take leave to visit properties. There are many different ways you can invest from overseas, but here are some of the ways that I would recommend depending on your goals and experience. A good way to invest in real estate from overseas is to partner with an investor in your target market. You need hustle, knowledge, and money to complete transactions. Being overseas, you are limited on the ability to hustle in your target market, but you may have the knowledge and money. Find a partner with strengths that complement your weaknesses and make some magic happen. Maybe you have the money and the knowledge, they bring the hustle. Or maybe you have the money and they bring the knowledge and the hustle. There's always a way to make it work. I have a friend who recently purchased a 42-unit apartment with a joint venture agreement between himself and 2 other partners. You could find a partner at local real estate investor meetups when you're in town. You might also find a partner through local real estate Facebook groups or the networking tab in BiggerPockets. You should be networking as much as possible, and a byproduct of this could be a long-term partnership. Now make sure that anybody you partner with is someone you'd be willing to work with for the duration of ownership, and do the best to vet their background to ensure that they are legit. Personally, I haven't partnered with anyone that I didn't know as a friend or family member previously, but that being said, if the right partner came around, I would not be opposed to a good partnership. Another option you could look into is private lending. I have several friends who have become private lenders along their journey. You could find an investor in your local market, or really any market, and lend them money as a debt partner. This means you sign a promissory note for a set amount of interest and points that you'll receive for lending them money, and then you sit back and let them repay you. This is a simple way to keep your money working for you, but make sure you vet the person you're lending to. When you purchase a property that is move-in ready, it is often referred to as being turnkey. This name comes from the fact that all you need to do is turn the key in the door to unlock it and begin renting the house. A turnkey company will buy homes that need work, fix them up, and sell them as turnkey rentals. Often, they have a property management team in-house or a property management company they work with. Some turnkey providers will even go as far as to place a tenant in the home before selling it to you. Now, this allows you to be completely hands-off from the investment property if you would like. Turnkey real estate is often given a bad reputation. That's because theoretically you could receive better returns investing on your own. Now, this may be true, but if you are unable to invest on your own, a turnkey property is much better than letting your cash rot away in a savings account. You'll still get all the benefits of cash flow, equity recapture, depreciation, appreciation that you would with any other rental property. And for this reason, a turnkey property in a market with good cash flow and appreciation potential could still make a very solid investment. One turnkey provider that I like is the one that you may have heard sponsoring my podcast, Storehouse 310 Ventures. They are owned by an active duty Navy officer and has a solid track record. In fact, the biggest issue that he was having last we spoke is keeping his inventory of homes up to meet the demands of his buyers. If you want to look into turnkey investing, email them at podcast@storehouse310ventures.com, which I will put down below. You could also look into limited partnerships. A syndication is where a general partnership purchases a large apartment building and pools money, syndicates, from various investors in order to acquire it. Now, a limited partnership is when you invest passively in syndications. So Veteran Pride Investment Group, VPIG, is a syndication group owned and operated entirely by veterans that has been on my podcast, episode 44. In order to invest in a syndication, you need to be either an accredited or sophisticated investor. An accredited investor is somebody with a net worth of $1 million or somebody who has a salary that earns up to $200,000 a year if single or $300,000 a year between you and your spouse. A sophisticated investor, on the other hand, is somebody with a large amount of knowledge in the investment strategy, and therefore it can be reasonably assumed that they won't get taken advantage of. I would be considered a sophisticated investor because I already own real estate investments, and more so, I own an apartment complex. Because of these strict requirements, syndications may not be realistic for new investors, but it is a great option if you qualify. VPIG allows a minimum investment of around $10,000 in their deals. If you were to invest $10,000 into one of their apartments, you would be a limited partner. Now, in my opinion, this is a good way to invest when you are limited on time and stationed overseas. Another strategy to invest in real estate from overseas is to read this bad boy, Long Distance Real Estate Investing from David Pere, and to take action. Now, you will need to build a solid team, realtor, property manager, lender, contractor, lawyer, whoever, from overseas. And I definitely prefer networking in person. But there's no reason you can't build this team virtually. You can even utilize Zoom chats in order to interview these potential team members from halfway across the world. You will need to focus on building your team and systemizing and automating your business as much as possible in order to put deals together from overseas. Now, that being said, I have successfully purchased several properties while stationed overseas in Hawaii. Yes, I realize Hawaii is not the same as Korea, but the concept and execution are the exact same. The only major difference would be the time it takes to get closing documents to you in Korea, vice Hawaii. But that is really easy to overcome with planning. So how do I invest in real estate from overseas? Focus on learning, networking, and saving capital. Then decide whether you want to invest in real estate long distance on your own, with a partner, through a turnkey provider, through a syndication, or through another strategy that you've found. With the right groundwork and the right mindset, being stationed overseas or even deployed to a combat zone is nothing more than a speed bump in your investing career. So look on the bright side. If you can invest in real estate from overseas, then you can invest in real estate anywhere. Mastering this ability to invest long distance can be a great asset for you. Don't forget to subscribe.